Hello there, welcome back to Planet Zoo, and here we are once more in Lunar Zoo. So what have we been up to? This was our koala habitat, so we did this in the last episode, and the koalas are climbing a lot more now on their cool rope bridges, which is nice. I've done a little bit of detailing first off. So before we get on to our new project for this episode, I have done just a little bit of detailing here. So as you can see, I built, kind of continued this hedge around here and around here. So this is just a little backstage area. Obviously this is a keeper hut in here. So I've just built this little, this wooden framework above the door, and I've put these little flower beds in, filled the bottom up with these little pink flowers, and then just sort of made a feature out of a couple of palms in pots here, really simple, and another palm in there. Put some of this trellis on the wall. This is the new set of trellis that we got in, I think, the Africa pack. It comes blue and I've just coloured it green, and I've just put a little bit of ivy up around the door there as well. So nothing too complicated there. I just wanted to finish off that area, and obviously once I decide what I'm building in this area, I can finish off this side of the path, but because I knew all of this on this side of the path, I wanted to get that all finished off, and I think that looks pretty nice now. I've also done a bit of backstage work over here. So if you remember, this was where I built a line of all our facility buildings. So I've connected the building into this building, so now if you look, you've got all of these buildings all connected at the front here. I think that looks pretty cool, and really simple inside here, just basic breeze blocks and some lights. I've used the flat brick roofing as the floor, as I often do, and then I wanted to sort of hide it a little bit, so I put this hedging along here again with some of this trellis, and then I'll just put some ivy and some plants growing up, and I think that looks really nice actually. And I've just done that all the way around here. Not done the back because again there'll be something around here, so I won't worry about doing the back yet, but I think these pillars of flowers in particular I think look pretty cool. So again, very happy with how that turned out. And I've filled in this gap here, and I've tried something a bit new here. So again, I've done the same flower bed that I did before, so the hedging around the pink flowers, the pot, and the palm growing up out of it. This is actually a very big palm, so you can see I've had to sink this right down into the ground here. I can just about get away with it, I think. It kind of shows a little bit under the pot there, but I don't think it's too bad. So yeah, so the back here, I wanted to do something involving water. So I put these green panels on the fence, on the wall, sorry, and then I've just put some waterfall elements coming down here and then splashing into these water troughs at the bottom, and I think it looks kind of cool. It looks, you know, obviously the idea is that there's some sort of vent behind here that pump water out, and so this is a living wall, so this is all getting watered by the water flowing down, and then it splashes at the bottom. It's different, and this is what I want to try and do in this series, is come up with different ideas for foliage and water and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think it works. It fills in the gap, and I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. But onwards and upwards, what are we doing today? We are going to be building a penguin habitat, and it's going to go into this area just here. So my thinking with this is I want this to be a multi-leveled habitat, because obviously penguins swim, and the best way to watch them swim is looking sideways into the enclosure rather than looking from above. But obviously I want us to be able to do both. So it's going to involve a sunken area of water with a viewing area down below. It's also going to involve a raised area where you can walk on a platform and look down into the water. There's also going to be a large building as their inside area. So it's going to be quite a complicated build. There's a lot of landscaping involved, which always gets very complicated, especially when you're dealing with the water element of it as well. The barriers can often be quite tricky to manipulate in the way that you want. So I'm expecting it to go a bit wrong at times, but I'll get there in the end. and we'll just have to kind of make it up as we go along. I haven't really planned out the actual scale of it or anything yet. I'm just going to start landscaping and see what happens. So let me crack on with some of that, and I'll be back to show you the results in just a few seconds. Right, so here you can get a bit of an idea of what I'm aiming for. So obviously I've landscaped a very large hole in the ground, and this is where the path will come. So it will go along here and then down into here and then flatten off here. And the idea is I want there to be an L-shaped area of water. So there's kind of a viewing area here where you can look this way and you can look this way, is the idea. Then there's going to be this raised area, so you come up these stairs and you can walk along here and look down into the habitat from these angles. And then the building for their indoors area is going to be here, so probably right in this corner, with some kind of steps or something coming down here into the water. Yeah, so that's the idea. So this it's a bit tricky here. I'm not too sure how this is going to work. So the steps will come down and even off. I've then got to try and get the water barrier to come kind of alongside the steps here. And I always have a lot of trouble when I'm doing barriers for water. Sometimes it just works perfectly first time, and sometimes it can be a bit of a nightmare. So I'll have to wait and see how this one turns out. So the barrier is going to have to come, well, it's going to have to come along and then along here and then up onto the top here, kind of in a square, I guess, there, and then along there and along there, back to here, and then down, drop down and into there again. And that's where I tend to find the problem, is the up and down. So when you've got a barrier down here and it's continuing higher up, it tends to go a bit wrong. It's probably just me. I'm probably just a bit rubbish with the barriers. It takes a lot of practice getting used to them, I think. And clearly I haven't yet. So then I'm going to do some kind of canopy over the top of this pathway. So there's going to be a little roof, an L-shaped roof of some sort above it. Probably encompassing the steps as well, I think. And then there'll be obviously gaps like this corner, which will be some sort of big flower bed, I imagine, and then probably the same over this side as well. The entrance to the habitat will go into their sleeping area, so it will be probably on this side here, I think. Heading inside, obviously the staff won't need to get into any of the outside area, so as long as they can just get into the inside area, that'll be fine. And obviously I had to do this as a tunneling piece of pathway for some reason. It just wouldn't work. It's very hard to make a pathway come along to the edge. So for example, if I had a pathway here going off of the edge here, when you build the path on the edge here, it tends to corrupt. It goes all lumpy and bumpy and you get bits of the ground showing through and it looks terrible. So the only way to really build that lip is to make this bit a tunneling piece, so it removes the land underneath, and then you get this perfect edge down into the steps. So it can be a bit of a pain because it means you've got these gaps and you have to fill them in, but that's fine. I can handle that. It's not a problem because I was only going to be putting flower beds on each side anyway, so you can easily just build over the top of it all. So there we go, that's where we are. So you can get an idea. It's going to be quite a large habitat, certainly the largest that I've built in this park so far. Yeah, it's coming together, so you can see the structure at least now. And I'm very happy with how this all turned out. I think this is going to look really nice, and these gaps will be filled in with raised flower beds, I think, as well, probably. So yeah, there we go. Let me go away and do a bit more for you. Well, this has been fun. It's been a while. I'll be honest. This has taken me a little while to get everything working, but I am just about there now. So this is what I've ended up with. So as you can see, the stairs come down and then you have the flat area at the bottom. So obviously I've covered it up with some concrete or plaster pieces, but the pathway is there just underneath. The barriers I've managed to put in place. So at the moment it's obviously the null barrier, and it comes right out here, and the entrance is here. The entrance isn't going to stay here, it will be further up here. But that's the basic shape that I've managed to put in. And it was a bit tricky, and what it's ended up being is that I had to have this area of water here which won't be used. It's just going to be hidden underneath flower beds, and just a little bit here at the end as well. And then I've put in these walls all along here. So if you go into the water, so the floor is covered with again all these concrete actually, what piece is this? I can't remember what I've used. Yeah, concrete wall floor pieces. So you've got concrete on the walls, the floor, you've got them obviously under this bit here, and these sides as well, and then all along here, and I've put an edge just up here on the side of the staircase as well. Obviously there's lots of little details that will need to be figured out regarding these bits up here, but that is your basic structure of the water. So at least it's in place now. The water I've made fairly clear. The glass obviously is as clear as it can be. It looks worse here just because of the angle of the sun, I guess. Where's the sun? The sun's there. So yeah, so where the sun shines on it here, it seems to be a lot clearer than here because it's just a bit darker, I guess. But once the penguins are in and swimming around, hopefully you'll be able to see them. So yes, it has worked out really nicely. I've managed to get the water luckily right up to the level of the ground, so that's good. So there's not too much of a gap at the top. But that has taken me a while, I'll be honest. I know I've not done a lot since the last small update, but this took me a long time to figure out. There's a bit more landscaping involved, and obviously getting all these wall pieces, everything just perfectly in place, has been a bit time consuming. So there we go, that's where we're up to now. So now I can start actually on the more fun part of the habitat, which is obviously all the detailing and building their indoor area over here. And I want to get the penguins in as quickly as I can just to test everything, make sure they can't escape, make sure they can get around in the water. I'm pretty sure this is going to be deep enough to have the feeders down here as well. I purposely made it about 8 meters, I think, so that should be plenty deep enough. Obviously I will build a framework around this glass, so there'll be a top and some pillars and things. I've got to cover up underneath all of this. I've got to build the canopy. There's tons to do, absolutely tons, and it can be a bit overwhelming when you're doing a big project like this, and you can start thinking, oh god, it's too much to do. Well, all you can do is one bit at a time. So for example, next, because I want to get the penguins in, I need to build the house probably next, and move the entrance. So I need to get this door moved up to here somewhere. So you just got to take it one step at a time and say, right, let's do that bit next. Then I'll do the pillaring. Then I'll detail this pathway under here. Then I'll build the canopy on the pathway. And just do it one bit at a time. Don't try and do too much at once. Don't try and do everything at once. Really just take it one area, one detail at a time, and eventually it all comes together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go away and do the next part, and I'll be back to show you the results. I made quite a lot of progress this time. So I started with the building here. So this is their indoor habitat, and I went with this nice Australian wood. Is this Australian wood? Yes, it is Australian wood walls. I just like the look of this wood, and I thought it suited the look I was going for quite well, because I knew I was going to use these big concrete beams, and I find that they work well with this particular type of wood, so that's why I went with that. Obviously the floor is just a simple flat roof lowered down onto the floor, and I went with arches for the entrance because I thought, again, I just think that looks pretty cool. Because of the shape of this pathway back here, this curve here has worked out perfectly, or pretty much perfectly. I know it doesn't fit exactly, but it's pretty close, so I can fill in the gap, which is cool because I like to make these buildings more interesting shapes. And then this inside wall here, you do see this in penguin enclosures, and all it means is that the penguins can come into this back area here for privacy. because obviously from back here, if you're looking in, you can see right into their bedroom. Penguins like to be able to get somewhere a bit private, so they often will have an interior wall like this, so the penguins can hover in the entrance here if they want, or they can disappear around the back and get somewhere where the public can't see them. Now you'll see here I do have a penguin. He's currently just standing around outside here. He's called Isaac. He is my test penguin. Obviously at the moment he can escape because I haven't moved the wall in properly, so he can just wander off and disappear into the zoo if he wants, but that's fine. He's a very trusted friend of mine. He's doing well. He's just hovering around, staring at the wall for some reason, but he does come out and disappear and has to wander back in again, and he does also come out and swim. So what have I done out here? I have used rocks to make a small step system down into the water, and I've also put in a ledge of these rocks all the way around the outside because I thought that looks pretty cool. It gives the penguins somewhere to get up and out of the water along here as well if they want. Obviously continued the Australian wood theme along the pathway here. I thought this would look really cool, having these archways all the way around the edge, so as you're walking on the pathway here you've got sort of windows to look through almost. So obviously there's still a lot of detailing to be done on them, but as a basic shape I thought that looked pretty cool, so that's what I went with. And then you can see I've done a lot of detailing around the pathway here as well, so I've done exactly what I said I would. So these concrete beams obviously add strength to this glass structure, so I've got them along the bottom, I've got the pillars and along the top. And this metal fence is absolutely perfect because it looks like it belongs next to water. So it extends all the way along the top here, and that's to stop the penguins from getting out, because they can if they wanted to. The penguins, before I put this fence on, the penguins could hop out the water and come up onto here. Once you put the fence on they can't do that, so that keeps the penguins in. Also would keep people out of course as well. And then on the stairway here I decided to use them, and I think they work really nicely when you put them up at an angle like this, especially this middle set. It looks absolutely brilliant. I really like it. So they stretch all the way up here and all the way along here to the end of the path, and again all these concrete beams and pillars all stretch all the way along for now. Again, more detailing to be done around them, but as a basic idea they're there and they work, they're functional, and I think it looks really cool now. Actually, it's starting to look like a proper habitat, isn't it? Still an awful lot to do though. Don't know what I'm going to do next. Probably try and finish off this, obviously get the door moved into the right place. As you can see at the moment, that's what I've had to do with that, just bring the barrier in here. But I do need to move it up even more now. But I think it's looking really nice actually. As a basic layout for the structure of the habitat, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, if you were standing up here and looking down into the water, I think you'd be pretty impressed with it. I think it's going to look really, really nice. And obviously from down here you're going to get a really nice view of them swimming, aren't you? So yeah, very happy. I just wish Isaac would move. Can I move you? Make you go swimming? Maybe stick you out here? See what he does when he gets out there. I'm pretty sure he can move around quite well from out there. Let's have a look. Yeah. Yes, he can. You see, so he can walk all the way along this platform. Obviously at the moment he can come out and he can walk up onto here, but he can't get onto this ledge now anymore, which is good. He's obviously just a bit sleepy at the moment. He's not really doing a lot, but then that's what penguins do a lot of the time. It's generally only when they're hungry that they do a lot of swimming. The rest of the time they do that. They stand and they stare. But hey, as long as he's happy, that's all that matters, isn't it? So let me go away and crack on with a bit more, and I will be back with my penguin, Isaac. Isaac the king penguin. We'll be back in just a second once I've done a bit more work. Update, so you can see a bit of what I've been up to. As you can see, the indoor area of their habitat now has a roof. So I've gone with this this tiled roof. It's a, what is this one? A painted slate roof. I really like it. I think I'm probably going to end up changing the colours on it, just a bit. I think it's maybe just a little bit bright, not sure. At some point it will just hit me that it's right or wrong, and I will make my decision. I moved some of these beams onto the corners as well. I wanted to just continue the theme of the beams around this building as well, so it didn't stand out as being too different. And obviously I've moved the doorway in. That has meant that there's a load of fish sitting outside, unfortunately, but they'll disappear in time, so that's not too much of an issue. Oh look, it's Isaac. He's having some lunch. So they've got some proper... Oh look. Oh, if I had the sound turned on, you'd hear him making a little noise, but I haven't, so you can't. Right, so they've got some, as you can see, some beds in here. Some of these what are these called? Pallets that they like to sit on. He's got a feeding tray there. He's got a water tray over here as well, because you don't really want to have to drink the water that you're swimming in. So he's got a nice clean water tray there. I've also put a food tray out here, so that there's an option of them being fed where the public can see, as well as back here where the public can't see. And I put these two edges. I was looking at the archways that I put in, and I really liked the shape, but I didn't like them as plain as though. I wanted some sort of edge on them, and I found these. These are wonderful pieces, North African decorative plaster arch, and it just looks fantastic. Absolutely brilliant piece. I hadn't ever used it before, hadn't even noticed it before, I'll be honest, but it fits into these archways perfectly, and it's completely recolorable as well, so you can match all sorts of different themes. But actually this is the original colour, and it suits this this habitat perfectly. So those two have gone onto there. One other thing that I've done with regards to the structure, I lowered this. So these archways here were much taller originally, but I shrunk them down. That's for two reasons. Firstly, it's because the height of this building here, this was higher, and it just didn't quite look right. I wanted it all to be the same height, but also I thought the windows themselves were just a bit too big from this side. So when you actually get a person over here, they still only come up to sort of head height is about here. And so actually I wanted these to be smaller, to make it look more like a window than a doorway. If these were, for example, where they were originally, which was kind of like that looks like a doorway, whereas that looks like a window. So that was my thinking behind it. So you're really having to look through the window down into the water. And I have just detailed over here as well, because I had this awkward corner here, and I wanted to do something with it. So this is what I've come up with. I found these pieces, these penguin pieces. These are absolutely wonderful, aren't they? Aquatic sculpture penguins. So you've got the two pieces mirroring each other. So they go on the roof here. Obviously, I just filled this corner in with more of the Australian wood, and then this lovely corner piece as well, which really matches the shape, and it creates this little raised roof here. And then inside you've got some information basically. So I've done a little display here about the penguins, and this is just one of the information boards there. So nothing too fancy. Obviously I had to fill in the bottom here with some more concrete pieces, but that's fine. So that's that corner. So this makes a lovely sort of corner piece to this building. So yeah, I really like how that looks. Obviously there's stuff sticking out, the floor is sticking out the side here, but that will get covered up eventually with probably flower beds along here. I don't know what's going to be on this side of the building, but they'll get covered up by something at some point. So yeah, so not a huge amount done, but I just wanted to show you the sort of the work in progress, I guess. I think next I'll probably work on the canopy around this pathway. And then that'll be sort of the main structure work done, and it'll be all about the detailing, filling in the gaps, working out what I'm doing around this pathway and around this corner here, and obviously these sort of flower beds along here, and along this side as well. So yeah, so still plenty to do, but it's really taking shape now. And Isaac, I think, is pretty happy. I should probably get him some friends, shouldn't I? So I might do that in a minute as well. I might give Isaac a family. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay, I'll probably do that next. Right, so bear with me, I'll be back in just a second. Isaac's got friends, lots of friends. We now have, oh hang on, how many do we have? We have 13 penguins, lucky 13. So Isaac has a large family now. I don't even know where Isaac is anymore. Look, he's got an Archie, he's got a Finn, Matilda. There's Isaac having a snooze. He's the daddy of the group, no doubt. Who else? An Isabella, a Max. Oh, there's another Isaac. Really? We've got 2 Isaacs? That's not good, is it? Grace. Who's this jumping in the water? Piper. Is there anyone else? Yes, look at that. There's more. There's more. We've got a Sebastian. Oh, look, he's walking on the water. Is he Jesus? No, he's Maya. Okay. And Lucy. I think that was all of them. Possibly not. Yeah. So there we go. So we got a lot of penguins, which is great. And I'll put a couple of feeders down the bottom here. So they've got plenty of, hopefully, plenty of choices of places to eat. And they're all very happy in here, which is nice. So let's have a look at what I've been doing. Just a little bit of detailing on this corner here. I found these big penguin things here, these sort of penguin posters. I wanted to use them in some way. Obviously I had this big blank area of the wall here that I wanted to fill in. So I put them on and it just didn't quite look right. It looked a bit childish in a way. And then I found these lovely tree pieces. So I've just put a couple of them there, and it's almost like I've made a little scene in the corner with the penguins behind the rock formations, and I think it looks fine. I think it fills that corner in quite nicely, so I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously the big thing that I've done is here, which is the canopy. So let me explain my thinking here. I didn't want it to be a solid canopy because it would just make it too dark and miserable. I wanted it to be glass because I want the light to be coming through. And I was looking through all the glass pieces, I was trying all the different ones, and I loved the shape of this one. And I wasn't too sure how to fit it over the top of the wall that I've got here. And I tried it where this edge, this right hand edge here, was sitting on top of this, and it was just over here, and it was too far over to the left here. It was too high, and it didn't look right. And then it just occurred to me, well, you don't have to have it connected to the wall. It can just be sitting over the top of it. There's no reason why it can't just be sort of attached to it, but not at the bottom. So it is. If you look here, it is actually connected. So it is one structure. See, these beams here do touch the roof. So the roof is supporting it, but obviously it's supporting it further up here rather than right at the end. And I like that because it also allowed it to sit lower. I wanted it to be a bit lower and closer to this pathway here. And I think it looks really, really nice actually. I think it's worked out really, really well. I've put this trellis on. Obviously I wanted some sort of support structure, but I didn't want to just use beams again because I know that I'm putting flower beds in to all of these areas. So I didn't want just big concrete pillars sticking in my flower bed. So I thought if I put these trellis in, then I can have stuff growing up all of this when I eventually come to put the flower beds in here. So that's my thinking with that. I found this other decoration here, this lovely wall piece here with the penguins. What is this piece called? Aquatic Animal Panel Flat. There we go, just so you know. So yes, so that is along here and along this side as well. And then a bit of a pillar on the corner here. Wanted obviously there was a bit of an odd looking piece of wall here, so I wanted to fill in this gap. So I just put a big concrete pillar and a few bits of wood and a couple of these information boards. So really simple there, just filling in the gaps. Oh yes, and of course I edged this as well with these pillars and these fences. Again, this is duplicating the fences from over here. I wanted to continue with the same theme, and they work really nicely. They fit into these archway gaps perfectly all the way along here. I think it looks really, really professional, really smart, really nice. Oh yes, and here we have our statue. So this is Isaac, I'm going to say. Obviously it's not, it's a generic penguin statue, but Isaac is the king of this group. So this is one of my homemade information board pieces here. As you can see, there is actually things sunk in. These are letters, I think, these pieces. Let me just see what if I can highlight them. Yeah, there we go. So these pieces, as you can see, they're these thin letters, and I've just sunk them in so it looks like there's writing on there. It's very simple. I just did that and I've saved that as a blueprint so I can use that whenever. So the idea here is that they have built a statue to Isaac, and this is a little information board telling you all about him. Which I kind of like. You know, it filled a gap, let's just say that. I had a big gap on the corner here and that filled it in just nicely. So yeah, I think this is looking really nice. Continued the fence along here as well, and this pillar on the corner I raised up, and I've built a bit more of this concrete this concrete work has come right along here and along this back edge here as well, ready for this flower bed to go in. And as you can see, obviously this entranceway has now got this lovely sort of homemade trellis above it as well. This was copied from the square piece that I did here. I just copied it over and duplicated it. And I'm not going to put stuff growing up it, because not everything has to have stuff growing on it. It is what it is. I think it's just a nice bit of trellis. It just adds something to the area, because it was very open without that. So I wanted some sort of roof, but I didn't want it to be, again, I didn't want it to be a solid roof, but it is a bit of a roof. So yeah, I'm liking this. This is probably something I will use again somewhere else. So it's coming together really nicely now. I'm really enjoying this. It's starting to look more finished. But now that all these fences are going in and they're all linking up, it really looks like a proper habitat now that people could actually visit. I also like that this roof, because it hangs over the front, if the penguins are sitting up here, this is actually going to give them a bit of shelter from rain potentially as well. If the rain's coming straight down, then they're going to get a bit of shelter if they sit up on here, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we're looking good, aren't we? I'm very pleased with it so far. Obviously the penguins are enjoying it as well. Here's one about to go swimming. Lovely, great stuff. Right, so there's still lots to do. Obviously I've still got all the detailing of the flower beds, particularly these ones along the side here as well. I've got a detail down the bottom, so this viewing area down here needs something in it. It's probably going to have some benches. Maybe I'm not going to do any sort of roof structure, but I might do something growing up this wall here, so maybe some sort of tree or plant or something. Other than that, it's almost there. We're not too far off being finished now. But yeah, we'll see. So let me go away and do a bit more, and I'll be back once I've decided what I'm doing next. Right, this is just a mini update really, purely because I just want to sort of show off what I've done, because I was very pleased with my creativity here. So this pathway I straightened, so it comes straight down here, and obviously I've just done it as a brick pathway, as I often do. And I've done flower beds on both sides. I've also done a flower bed on this corner here. Now the thing that I'm really pleased with is the edging that I've used for this flower bed. As you'll see, it looks really nice, doesn't it? It's a lovely wooden edging. And this piece is one of the planters, believe it or not, and all I've done is turn it upside down. See, so it's a planter, and I've flipped it up and I've put it down, and it makes a really nice edging to anything really. I mean, obviously in this case it makes a nice edging to a raised flower bed. But you could use it for all sorts of things. And this is what I'm really going to try and do in this series: use pieces differently, try and be more creative and use pieces in ways that I haven't before. Now I'm sure there's someone out there who's done exactly the same as this, and you might be watching this thinking, yeah, I've done that already, it's really not that impressive. But you know what, I don't care. I'm pleased that I discovered it, and yeah, I just wanted to show you what I'd come up with there. So this this flower bed here, probably all of these actually, they're going to be mainly shrubs, I think. But again, they're not going to be too overfilled. I don't want them to look crowded. So so there's just going to be some basic shrubbery in both of these. What I've also just done down the bottom here is just a little bit of detail. I really didn't need to do much here. So a couple of benches and a bin, and I didn't want to do stuff growing up onto this wall. I decided to put one of these beautiful palms down here. What is this one? It's a Ponytail Palm. This is one of the best looking things in the game. It really is a beautiful looking tree, isn't it? So I've just done that in one of these planters, and it just finishes this area off nicely, doesn't it? It's the right height because it's not poking up high, so you can, you know, from across here you can still get a nice view forwards. But it just adds a bit of greenery. Obviously it's in the sun as it is at the moment. If you were sitting down here underneath it, I think it'd be quite a nice peaceful place to sit. So yeah, so I'm really happy with that choice. And oh yes, this is the other thing that I did inside here. I made these blueprint pieces here. So this is a whole load of ventilation system pieces put together, and then just some bubble things behind it. Let me just see if I can get a view of that. Well, not really. Oh yeah, there we go. So you can see these are all randomly put along here, and these are just making bubbles so that they look like sort of air filtration, water filtration all the way around the pool here, because you know a big area of water like this would get dirty quite quickly, so you need to have some sort of ventilation or filtration, not ventilation, filtration system built in. So it would usually be probably on the wall and the floor, but I've just gone for it on the walls in this case. And yeah, it's just another one of those little details that just adds a little bit more to the area. So I was kind of pleased with that. I think that's sort of all I've done in this update. I just really wanted to show off these flower beds because I just think they look really cool. I just love the colour of these pieces as well. It's nice and bright, isn't it? And it looks really nice and new and shiny as well. If you look, this is what I've always done in the past, is just use these wooden posts or planks. But that, look at that. I mean, it looks so detailed, doesn't it, as an edging. A little bit tricky over here. Obviously it doesn't quite fit together, but I don't mind that. It's got a nice edge. It still fits together. And what I really like about it is it looks like a seat. So even though people can't sit on it in the game, in real life you'd get people perching all the way along here eating their lunch or whatever, which is really nice because it's multi-purpose then, isn't it? And it is certainly something that you get in real theme parks and zoos. You do get stuff like this that's a bit multi-purpose. Lots of places where people can just perch and sit down, have a rest, look at the animals, talk, hang out, you know, eat their lunch, whatever. So yeah, really happy with that. So I still need to obviously decorate both of those, and I need to do these flower beds along this edge here as well. So still a little bit more to do, but not a tremendous amount. And there'll probably be some benches put inside here as well at some point. But yes, so there we go. So I just really wanted to show you that. It's come together nicely though. I mean, if you look, it's certainly quite a large area, isn't it? But I think it's looking good. Oh, that was the other thing. I did change the colours on this roof. I got rid of the greenery, the greenery colours, the greener colours, and just made it more varieties of blue. And it's actually made it a bit brighter, but it's brighter in a good way, I think. So I'm sticking with it because I quite like how it looks now. So there we go. Right, let me just go away and do a little bit more, and I'll be back hopefully in a minute with some new flower beds. Again, so I haven't done a huge amount, but I just wanted to show you what I've done with these flower beds. So I've done all three of the flower beds here, and they're all shrubbery, so there's no flowers in them at all. And I've done again what I've done before. So you keep the palette quite small. So there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 different types, 5 if you include this ground cover one here. And it's just repeated patterns, or not patterns, but repeated plants all through the beds, and the same 5 are used in this one here as well. You generally, this is quite a good example. So this border here is only going to be viewed from this side. So you put the large plants at the back, and then they get smaller as they near the front. And that's how you plan a border. So you got to think about where it's being viewed from. So in this case, you know it's being viewed from this angle. So all the larger things at the back, smaller things at the front. Because if you put your big things at the front, everything at the back is hidden and it's not going to be seen at all. And it would make the whole border just completely pointless and not work. So that's how we do it in real life. That's how we plan our flower borders, is where is it being viewed from. Now, of course, some flower borders are viewed from all directions. In which case you just need your big things in the middle and then the smaller things around the outside. So again, this one on this side is only really going to be viewed from this pathway here. So again, you've got your larger ones towards the back and smaller ones towards the front. And this one here, I've kind of done that because it is again mostly going to be viewed from this pathway. So again, you've mostly got your larger ones at the back, smaller at the front. It depends obviously what I do on this side as to whether I change that. It might be that some of this just gets pushed towards the middle a bit, but yeah, I don't know. It depends what I do on this side. So, but for now, that's what I've done. And like I've done before, and like I've told you before, it's not filled up. There's soil showing, which is really good actually. It's if you look at that, it looks tidy, obviously, because you've not got weeds. It's all, you know, soil and plants and nothing else. But I think if you can try and imagine if these bushes were all along this edge, completely enclosing it, it would feel overgrown, jungly, which may be the look you're going for in certain situations, but in real life, actually, a border like this is much more impressive because it shows that it's cared for and looked after when you've got bare soil than if you've just got a jungle of foliage, which doesn't need as much looking after. It's funny how the brain works. When the brain sees this, it instantly goes, oh look, someone's really looked after this because they're keeping the soil dug over and clear of weeds. Whereas if you didn't see any soil in here at all, you would just think, oh no, it doesn't need any looking after. It just grows and looks after itself. So actually it's more impressive if you have these bare areas of soil. And obviously I know it's a game, but the principle is true in real life. So that's where I'm coming from with that. So that's those borders done, and I think if you zoom out here, I think that's looking pretty cool now actually. I know it's a fairly structured area, so lots of straight lines, but I don't mind that. That's just how this habitat happened to work. Obviously with the shapes that I created over here as well, there's a lot of right angles, but that's fine. These ones over here have got a little bit more shape to them. Although I do like the shape on this corner here. I think this bit works very nicely. So all I've got left now, I think, is these flower beds along here. So these aren't going to be too tricky. I just need to sort of create one, I guess, and then copy it around and resize it to each appropriate area, and then decide how to plant them up. So I think that's probably all I've got left to do now. I think the rest of it is looking pretty finished. So yeah, so I guess let me just go away once more and get that finished. And here we are with our finished penguin habitat. So the last thing that I needed to do with the flower beds over the side, but I'm just walking you through the area because I just think it looks really nice from down here. I think if you were actually in this zoo, you'd be quite impressed with this area. I think it looks really modern, really new and smart. I love the metal railings. I love this border to the flowers here. This trellis as well just looks really nice and new and pristine, which is the look I was going for around here. So here we are. So this is coming around the side here. We have our lovely water wall over here, and here we have our flower beds. So all I've done here, I've used these brick pieces and created, so each of these is its own. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was one big blueprint, but all I did, I created one and then copied it around to the others. I have randomized some of it, but let me just show you these. So these are these basic aquatic faux rock pieces. So they're just stacked up towards the back. The trellis was already there, and then I've just put some soil in with a plant at the bottom, and then I put this lovely pink one growing up the trellis, and that, I mean, it just looks fantastic, doesn't it? I love this. I love being able to use these on the angle like that, actually growing upwards, even though it isn't designed to look like that. it works. It looks really nice. And so that has got copied into all of these areas. And what I did with the bricks, because they can look quite generic, I went around, once I'd copied and pasted all of these flower beds, I went back and I highlighted a whole load of them and changed the shades. You can see there's some that are a little bit lighter than the other ones, and I think I did some a little bit darker as well, actually. Though you can't really tell, to be honest, but yeah, there's just enough that's a bit different. And then I had to have this slightly annoying task of just flipping some, because obviously they've all got the same pattern on the side, so if they all look the same it can look really repetitive. So I went around and just turned some 180 degrees, just so that you break up that pattern on the bricks a little bit. So that was quite time consuming. So they come around here. This was a tricky one on the corner here, but I think that looks really cool actually. And then you've got a couple of bigger ones here, and I've just stretched them out basically and just copied them across. And then I did do one on the corner here. Obviously there wasn't the trellis in this one because of where it is, so I didn't have the trellis for the pink plant to grow up, so I've put one of these lovely maple trees in there. I just love the colour, the orange against the blue of the roof there. I thought looked really nice, so that's what I've gone with there. Obviously I don't know what I'm doing next to it, so I've just left that for now. And then inside here I've just put some benches down, so these nice modern benches, because I thought this lovely modern look suits the look of all the wood and the metal railings and the glass. I wanted something nice and new and modern looking, so that's what these benches are. So they're just all through there, so you can sit down. You can't really see the penguins, but you can kind of soak up the atmosphere, can't you? So there we go, that is our penguin habitat, and it has turned out really, really nice. I love it, I really do. I think that it's one of my best habitats actually. I just think it looks, I want to say it looks realistic, but to be honest I have no idea if something like this could be built in real life. I suppose it could, but I don't know. But I like it. Just from a game point of view, I think it looks really nice. I'm very happy with the amount of structure work that I've got with the building here, the canopy here, and even this trellis I class as a building in a way. When you zoom out, it's big. You know, this is what I want. This is what I want. Lots of structures everywhere, as well as obviously the big flower beds. Or the more intricate flower beds. So you know, I'm mixing it up and trying to do new things and new shapes, get lots of height. This is something that I want to try and do more of. Have stuff sunk into the ground as well as having stuff raised up. So with this habitat, obviously I've managed to do both, a lower area and then a raised area. Oh yes, our penguins do still bug. This is something that happens in the game quite a lot, unfortunately. The penguins, when they're swimming close to the edge, occasionally they just swim straight through it and come out here. So we do keep on finding penguins out and about, and I have to keep putting them back. I keep finding them actually up in this flower bed here. I think what they do, I think they come along here and swim, and then they swim right across this gap, and then when they hit this bit of land over here, they suddenly jump back onto the land and just go walking through the flower bed. Which they can do without triggering an alert actually, because the border for the habitat does run right down the side of this pathway here, so they can actually walk around in this this flower bed without triggering any sort of alarms, which is why they stay there for quite a long time sometimes, because once they're there they can't get out, they can't move anywhere. Oh, and in fact look, there is one in there. Look at him, he's just sitting in the flowers here. Who have we got? We got Piper down here. He's just chilling out in the flower bed. I mean, as you do. What else would a penguin want to do? But the thing is, once he's there, if you look at his traversable area, he can't get back into the habitat. He is stuck. He could escape. He can hop down off of here and walk away if he wants. I think. They've never done it actually, so maybe they can't. Maybe they can't traverse down off the side here. But he certainly could walk down the flower bed here. And escape the habitat. Obviously the border is here, but they don't tend to. They tend to just walk around in here, and in the end they just tend to sit still, and I guess he would eventually starve to death because he can't get back into there where the food is. But he seemed quite happy, doesn't he? Just chilling out in the shrubs. Should I put him back in with his friends? I think I should. Let's stick him back in here. There you go, mate. There she is, back where she belongs. One happy penguin. Wonderful. I'm sure it won't be long before another one escapes. They do like to get out. Never mind, you've got to laugh, haven't you? It's really not too big of an issue, luckily. Anyway, there we go. That was our penguin habitat. That was quite an epic build, I'll be honest. It was a little bit stressful at times, but it was worth it. I hope you agree. I think it's ended up as one of my favourite habitats that I've built in the game so far, in all of my zoos. And I'm very happy with my my progression as a builder. I think I'm getting more creative. I'm getting better at coming up with new ideas as well. Something I want to try and do in this zoo is come up with fresh ideas for how to design habitats for different animals. And there are animals in the game that I still haven't even used, so I'd like to really try and use as many different things as I can in this zoo. I'm still waiting for my computer to be upgraded, but when that does happen, I'll be able to start doing even bigger zoos because my processor will be able to handle it a bit better. But until then, we'll just have to keep going and see when the computer starts lagging. But there we go. So that's my penguin habitat, and that is going to be it for this video. I hope you've had fun. I hope I've inspired you to go and build your own penguin habitat, because you can have a lot of fun with penguins. They're lovely animals, and I love the fact that an animal requires an area of water as well as an area of land, because it sort of forces you to be more creative with the enclosure as well. So yeah, all good. So there we go. Thank you very much for spending a bit of time with me today. I always appreciate your company. It's a wet and windy, miserable day here. So it's been a bit of a pleasure to be indoors recording my commentary today. I do hope you can join me again soon. There are plenty more episodes to come in this zoo, and some of my other zoos, of course, and some of my other games. I've got plenty still to come on the channel. So I do hope you can join me again soon. Until then, take care of yourself, stay safe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye.